My name is Jay Bridgeball. I'm a real estate broker since 1988. I've seen the good days, the bad days, and the not so bad days. My passion is to educate consumer about all aspects in real estate. Actually, I sold over $1.75 billion in real estate. Now, that's a lot of experience. I went through many failures, many successes, and I've seen many stories that you will be amazed. Not everything looks so glamorous as it is sometimes. On Let's Talk Real Estate, we will dig deep down and I will take you step by step through every process, from buying your first home to buying a multi-million-dollar investment property. We will have various people on this show. Lawyers, investors, we'll have mortgage brokers, appraisals, and everyone else to assist us to take you to that point. My aim is to break it down in such easy terms that you will be able to follow. So please join me every Thursday between 1 and 2, and let's talk real estate. Hello and welcome to this segment of Let's Talk Real Estate. I am Jay Bridgeball and
Amit Kanhai, also here from the Bridge team.
Today, stay tuned. We want to drill down into everything involved about buying a resale condo. We'll take you through the nuts and bolts of the process, the good, bad, and ugly. At the end of this session, you will be an expert in buying a resale condo.
Definitely. So Jay, on that note, many people come to us and the first thing that they ask is, well, what do I do? They have absolutely no idea.
Well, the first thing you want to do, let's say, Amit, you are renting an apartment. You want to make sure you're not caught up in a one-year lease.
Right.
I got people coming and they said, hey, you know what, I will buy the condo. I got everything ready. And then they are locked into a one-year lease agreement. The landlord said, sorry, we wouldn't let you out of the lease. So make sure that, if you are renting, that you are not already tied into a long-term lease.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually had a client that was in a very similar situation. And they did as much due diligence as they thought was possible, realized the 1 year was up, but didn't realize that after they renewed, they ended up going on to a new cycle, and their landlord required a 60 days notice for them to vacate the premises.
Yes.
At that point, we already had a closing set up for 30 days after. They thought they did their due diligence, but they were misinformed by the landlord office. And what happened was that 30 days, they were on the hook for it.
Yep. These things do happen.
Yeah.
So once you make sure that that part is taken care of, the next step, Amit, is that you want to go to the bank and make sure you get a pre-approval done. Not a pre-qualification.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, can you explain a little bit of the difference with a pre-qualifying and a pre-approval?
Yes, they're major difference. You see, a pre-approval is what happened. The bank go through all your records. They pull your credit. They check everything through. They do a complete x-ray and say, here, you know what, you can buy for so much. A pre-qualification is that they qualify you based on your income. Said, okay, you're making, let's say, 100,000. You qualify for 32% of that. Well, here, yeah, you can buy a condo for 400,000.
Yeah.
One, they just do a basic guideline. They tell you what you can qualify to buy, but a pre-approval tells you exactly what you can buy.
And you know, I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because we can actually do that. Anyone can do that with normal ratios and numbers. You can jot them down and you can say, yes, you're genuinely qualified, but writing everything down is not going to show if you have that car loan that was outstanding, or maybe you had a credit or Rogers bill that was not paid for 5-6 months and it registered as lowering your credit. So these things are very important. You need the full package.
You need a full package where they will pull the credit and do everything and tell you up front, hey, well, you are pre-qualified to go out and shop for a property.
Right.
One of the benefit of getting pre-qualified is that when you're ready to purchase a property, you can be a stronger negotiator.
Ah, yes. And you know what? I've actually experienced that probably multiple times this year.
Yeah.
And just the fact that we go into the offer saying, I don't really have any issues with finance, but I do want to maybe have a look at that status certificate. So when you have one less condition on the offer, the seller, in their mind, they think, wow, well, these guys are serious. They know what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, I've negotiated many deals where we managed to break the price down just because we don't have a condition on financing.
Ah.
And I'll tell you this, it's just like you buying a product. If I want to buy, let's say, a phone, for example, or something of that nature, and someone wants to sell it at a cheap price, if I go firm, I could break them down further. But if I come to you and say, Amit, I'll buy this product and I'll pay you top dollars, provided I win a 649 draw on Friday, I win it, and then I'll give you the money, right?
You're right.
If you really want to sell that product, you will go the shore way.
Okay.
So anything that's conditional, diminishing your negotiating power.
I see. It kind of reminds me of, back in the days when people would walk into the dealership with a briefcase of cash and buy that new car. It's similar to that. You walk in and say, this is what I want your property. No conditions.
That's it. So now this first step is that you enter the bank. You get your pre-approval done.
Right.
And really and truly, people listening, you can give us a call. We are realtors, and we can really put you on to the right person to do the pre-approval.
Yes, definitely. We have a number of guys that we work with, and all the banks.
Yeah, and all the banks as well. The nice thing is that what we try to do is try to let you, the consumer, pull your credit report so that it does not affect against you. The more you pull that credit report, it damages your report.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because we are now in an era where Equifax and TransUnion, these guys used to basically own the entire market.
Yes.
And now you have all these smaller guys like Credit Karma, and every little person on a Capital One card is actually allowing people to check their credit with no charge.
That's true. So that way we can be able to let them do that. Once they get a pre-approval from a bank, what's the next step, Amit?
Well, after you have your pre-approval from the bank, there's something that you might already know, but I think it's most important, and so do you. I know you agree. You must research the area you want to live in.
Definitely. I've seen people buying a property, let's say a condo, in the heart of Mississauga, and they're working all the way out in Oshawa, Ajax. All right.
Yes. Things like transit routes, where you are located to, and what you need. Maybe you need a specific ethnic grocery. That's gonna be nice. Maybe there's no bus route here, but you need to catch a bus at 8:15 every morning.
But what's important? Most of the people that tend to buy condos are younger families. Younger family come with small kids.
Yep.
You got to figure here, where are the babysitters? Do I drop them off by mom and dad?
Right.
Or what's happening? So that's a very important part. You have to fit in all element into the process.
Yeah.
What's important, I find, is that it's good that you buy the condo closer to where your wife works, not where you work. You can travel a little bit, but when it's closer to where your wife work, at least she's the one who can get home on time. Guess what? When the guy reached home, he might put his foot up and watch the TV, but when the gal reached home, she's washing the dishes and cooking. So you want her to be home a little bit earlier than you, right?
Right, and take a little bit of stress off. Sometimes, different people can take different stresses different way.
So, yes. So once you know the location you want to get at, then the best thing is to research all the condos in that area.
Yep.
Right? You'll find some newer ones, some older ones, some more expensive ones, some cheaper ones.
And you can explain, it's so strange. Over the last 15 years, it seems like 3-bedroom condos have just disappeared altogether. And now it's a 2-bedroom and 1-bedroom is king in this market.
Yes, because in the older days, everyone, the builders pride themselves on space. So here, I built this beautiful place.
Yeah.
It got 2,000 or 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Today, guess what? They've try to cram as many suites within a small area.
Yep.
It's a win-win for the builder and the government because more suites,
More taxes.
government is winning, right? And more suites, builder make more money.
More sales.
Right.
I've
So-
even seen those micro ones these days. 499 square feet.
Right. They are having, they're getting smaller and smaller. Okay. So the best thing you got to do is see what the family needs are.
Right.
Do you like a small, modern place with lots of amenities, or you prefer a space that, a bigger space, right? But the building have less amenities.
Right. Right.
So you got to figure really what you want.
And sometimes that gym that's downstairs might save you that $50 a month from
Of
your
course.
membership fee.
Of course, right,
So-
definitely. And then you can go to the gym downstairs and
Yeah, and then
use the pool. and,
we didn't really get too much into maintenance fee yet, but I know we're almost on the clock here. Do you want to push that on to the next segment?
yeah, we will put that onto the next segment. When we get back, I want to talk about really how to go about choosing the right person to guide you. You must have a team of experts that work
Right.
for you. That include a lawyer, a mortgage broker, or the financial institution, inspector, a good realtor.
Don't forget that one.
All right, yeah, so these are all good. So see you soon. We'll talk about that.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Hey, and welcome back. Now we are talking about how you need to choose your team of people to help you along. You see, if you are surrounded by the right people, it can take you places. And if you are surrounded by the wrong people, set of people, it can also take you places. A different set of place, right? Now, the first thing you need to get is choosing your realtor.
Right.
Very, very important. So, Amit, how do you think someone should choose a good realtor? Except calling the bridge team.
Which, by the way, you can.
Yes.
Really, I think this generation works exactly the same as every generation that has
Right.
passed, except one thing: we're ready to read reviews online and Google everything.
Yes.
We want to have a look at what your social media looks like. We want to have a look at what your website looks like. We want to see at least 10, 15 reviews, good reviews if you have some video testimonials as well. These are things that are important in any real service sector, but I think they're extremely important in choosing a realtor.
Right. The reason for it is that there are about 77,000 realtors in Ontario.
Right.
Right, and there are some realtors. They are realtors, but they have sold one home 3 years ago. Right, 20% of realtors probably sold zero home.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Those statistics, I like you to break it a little bit down for some of our viewers because everyone sees you know 44,000 realtors in the GTA. How does that mean? You know, one person sold only one home this year. How does that make sense?
Well, the total number of homes sold per year in the GTA is about 77,000 homes.
Right.
You got about 77,000 realtors in the industry. So it averages about one home per realtor per year. But yet about 20 to 30% haven't sold anything.
Well, that's the catch.
And someone like us as a team that's selling 250 homes,
Yep.
you know, it really skew it.
And that's the catch. You might have a few of the very large players that are doing a lot more volume and higher transaction rates.
Right.
One thing that I've personally I've come across a few other realtors in the field, and you know they a lot of times they look at me and they say, well, you haven't been doing this too long, have you? And I said, well, why? Well, you know, you look a little bit younger, but then they see our offers and condition list. They're bulletproof.
Right.
Because, you know, we have all of the right conditions that are in place. And, you know, on the other side of that same coin, I've seen some newer realtors that maybe been in the business 1 or 2 or even 3 years, but don't do as high volume, and they've left out some very important parts on there. When we can, we try to help them, but if it benefits our clients, sometimes
it can work against them as well.
Exactly.
Well, why is so important of choosing a realtor? Imagine you got to go out there for a surgery. So you go to this doctor that does, I did a surgery 3 years back. I think it's like yours. And let me see, where do we start? Maybe
cut up here.
let's do that. You know, that's exactly the scenario when it comes to real estate. You want someone who knows what they're doing,
Right.
who do have a track record, and also someone that will look out for the consumer interests and not for their own interests.
Yeah.
I had a situation about 4 years ago where a realtor literally called me, and I listed a property in Rexdale. It's a condominium for $194,000, give or take.
Right.
This realtor called and said, Jay, could you give me an extra 0.5% on commission? Right? We're giving them 2.5%. She wants 3%.
Right.
I thought for a second and I said, sure, I'll do that, provided you give me the price I want for my seller. She said, okay, what would your seller want? I gave her a ridiculous figure. I said the price that we listed for my seller will only give you 0.5% if you bring me $20,000 more in money. You know, she went and she got that offer accepted for $20,000
Really?
more.
And
I'm representing a seller.
yes.
I'm really working for my seller. My seller said, Jay, you know, I am so happy I made so much more money. I said, well, what happened? We just paid the realtor $2,000
And he made
for
his-
made it 20,000. How many times would you want to give away 2,000 to make 18,000?
Yeah,
Everybody
definitely.
wants
So
that.
so in that situation, just to simplify it for some of the listeners, you know, that agent requested an extra $2,000, but you as the buyer ended up paying $20,000 more.
Yeah.
That is just
Because that right, but you know, a good realtor work for their client.
Right.
Right. If you're working for a buyer, you're a buyer agent. You work for your client.
yeah.
You do what it takes. Now, the first thing our buyers must know is that they have to sign a buyer agency agreement.
Yes.
Many realtors do not explain that to the client. They give them a bunch of papers to sign, sign here, there, and lock that buyer up for about 6-7 months,
A lot
sometimes
of the
a year.
times, yeah, a lot of the times that buyer agency agreement is actually just shuffled in on the first offer or any regular
Right.
papers, and you just see 3 extra papers. Okay, initial, boom, 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 boom. Not many people have the, you know,
They don't read through everything. They
No.
trust their realtor,
Yeah,
and
that's
then the
exactly
next thing they end up in a contract that tie them up for a year. If they choose to leave that realtor and buy with another realtor, they're under contract with one realtor, they will have to pay the realtor they signed that contract their commission as well, which is
Yeah.
2.5%, which is a big chunk of money.
Yeah, especially when you're talking even condos in $300,000 or $400,000 range. That's a big,
Right.
big chunk. I think you've probably seen as well recently the Toronto MLS board. They've awarded various cases in that exact same situation where they said, "Well, hey, you signed the contract. Did you know what you were reading?"
Yeah, I could just speak English.
Yeah,
Did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's exactly what it is. So bottom line, folks, read everything through. Make sure when it comes to contract signing, either you take it to your lawyer or give them a minimum amount of time, 60 days or 90 days on a contract to represent you is not too bad. But don't go 6 months, a year, and these crazy kind of figures.
And
right?
you know what? A great recommendation I'd like to give to some of our listeners or viewers here. Now, I had this client a few months back, and I gave him all the documents to get signed. And you know what he told me? He said, "Amit, nothing personal against you. I just have a rule that whenever I have any documents to be signed, I take 24 hours, I bring it home, read it through with myself and my wife, initial and sign, and send back in the morning."
That's the best advice. That's good.
No self-respecting salesperson is ever going to say no. That's very, very
Definitely.
reasonable.
We prefer that. I mean, with us as a team, we will sit down and go through every piece of paper and tell you where you're initialing for what. Because at the end of the day, you must know everything.
Yep.
Right? Good long-term realtors who want to be in the business for a long time, they protect their track record.
That's
and
it.
they will make sure that everything is done right, because at the end of the day, it's their name. Their name is their stamp. As Gary Vee puts it, the legacy is more important than currency,
Yeah.
right? So if you want to maintain that, you have to make sure you do things right.
Definitely.
So very important when coming to realtors, choose your realtors based also on experience. You don't want to choose a realtor that sell one home a year. We have seen situation where people, they have they go bankrupt in one field,
Yep.
then they become a realtor, want to sell real estate.
Yep.
So not because they have a real estate license, it means that they are really good at what they're doing.
Definitely.
That's very important to check out that person in detail. Sometimes it's good to go by recommendation, but that alone does not work. Also, do your own research.
Definitely. And one thing that I would know, I would recommend that, research definitely is number one. And the thing is that when you're choosing a realtor, you sometimes will get a vibe right off the bat. Is this a sales kind of relationship? You want someone that's going to educate you.
You want an educator, yes?
Yeah. And I find that the good realtors, they sit back and they give you as much information as you can and just try to guide you along the process.
That's true. Now that comes to education. When you're buying a condo, resale condo, a couple of things right off the bat. I prefer not to buy at the side of the elevator. It tend to be very noisy.
Definitely.
Main floor elevator, you get more garbage and
Yep.
you get more noise, more busy. Right? Corner suites sometimes tend to be a bit cold.
Yeah. You're always catching the wind.
Right? You might get more light, but then you got to look at that. How about the third level, just over the garbage bin?
Oh,
And you got a balcony.
And there is the most beautiful view of that stinky garbage that you've ever seen.
Yeah, and then you get the flies coming in. You can't even go in your balcony. You want a barbecue.
Third, fourth, right up those. It's just
Right,
one thing
so-
that's direct view, beautiful view.
Right. Now, you might pay premium. You might pay premium for a premium place. But then you live in a premium place, and when you're ready to sell it, you sell it at a premium dollar.
Yes.
So technically, you didn't lose anything. You live in premium. You sell for premium.
That's exactly
Right?
it.
So why settle for much lower, live in garbage, and then sell for garbage?
Yep.
Right?
I agree.
So go up to the top, enjoy life. It's too short, but at the same time, knowing that when you're ready to sell,
You're gonna get that dollar back.
you'll get $1 back. You're not losing anything. Right? So that's very, very important. Now that I've chosen an agent, the next step is sit with your agent and let your agent know exactly what you want to buy. Good realtors will also advise you what you should do and what you should not do. Right? They will put you up on something called prospect match or collab.
Or collab.
Yeah. tell our audience how collab really works.
Well, we'll get a little bit into that after we've run over on this segment. So when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about collab and how realtors in this generation now can give you direct access onto the MLS.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Back to Let's Talk Real Estate with Jay Bridgepal and Amit Kanhai. I just wanted to remind you that we are filming live, so if you would like to reach out and you have a question about this topic or the last one, you can give us a phone call at 647-931-4701. Okay, so Jay, we were just talking about real estate Toronto Prospect Match, as well as the collab system in the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Yeah, they're a beautiful system where it takes away the onus from the buyer to continue searching for going through tons of properties out there and get lost within all of them.
Yeah, you know, I was speaking to a buyer just, I think it might have been last night or night before last, and they said it's so cumbersome to go through all these different websites and compile 30 or 40 different homes each 2 nights or every 3 nights, and then when they come back and give it to the realtor says, well, this is sold, this is gone, this is not the right location, and maybe this is a 1-year-old listing.
yeah, profile bill, needle in a haystack.
Exactly, needle in a haystack.
So that's
so what we have now is something, the prospect match system that's been on for a little while.
Right.
It basically
How about a collaboration?
The collab system, brand new. So
Yes.
we're actually able to grant our clients direct access into the MLS. You can set up your search parameters. You can take a look at your locations, create mapped areas. You can set one washroom. I want 2 bathrooms. I don't want to see anything unless there's 3 full baths. So it's so customizable. I equate it to very similar to the Realtor.ca website, but instead it's a full-fledged package where you have access and your realtor can create a login and a website code.
So you have your own login and website code, and you can get in there.
Yeah, it's very exclusive.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that if you see something and you like it, your realtor knows right away.
Oh, that's the best part. What you do is almost like a social networking type of situation where if you see it and you click it, the realtor says, oh, I've realized you clicked it. When you like it, you can say, automatically I'll say on my phone, oh, wow, okay, Jay liked this property.
Let me see what else is available with those criteria. You get to learn what the client wants faster.
Exactly. So it's almost, in this information age, sometimes the fact is we don't even have time to pick up the phone and call each other. So if you're just at your lunch break and you don't want to have a 20-minute call with me when you're on a 10-minute break, you just go through and like. I'm on my end. I say, well, okay, I see Jay liked these properties, and I'll create some new criteria for you.
And you can actually do the same thing on your end. You can say, hey, you know what, Jay, these are the properties I choose for you. Take a look. What's your comment?
Yeah, I don't
comment on the spot.
Right in the system, you know.
Right,
It'll save a ton of emails. It'll save a lot of phone calls. And as long as you're able to be a little bit tech savvy and use your phone or even on your computer, I think you'll really enjoy it.
The nice thing, there is no time delay.
It's
That's
instant.
instant. Whereas even in Prospect Mat, there is a bit time delay.
I even
This is instant.
Yes, and I equate it to very much the system. I was telling a client a few weeks ago. It's just like Instagram. When I like your picture, it's right away. Then you see it. So the exact same system, and I think that that's really where the Toronto MLS board and a lot of the up-to-date realtors are really going to take over on the forefront by connecting with this newer generation and showing them how easy it is to search with technology.
That's true. Now the next step, now we narrow down to a few properties. We are going out there to see these properties. Number one, for buyers, never be in a rush. Avoid pushy realtors. Realtors should not be pushy. At the end of the day, you are the one who have to live in the home. They are moving on. If you want to see 1,000 condos, see them. You will find that there will be one of them that you like and you may want to put an offer in.
Yep.
Right? So go through everything. Some of the criteria when you are buying a condo. Number one, research the area, location.
Yes.
Then go for size. Because bigger is always better when it comes to real estate. Right? And then look at the upgrades. You can always get rid of the old stinky carpet and put lovely laminate in a bigger size.
And those are things that they're not visually appealing at all. So you end up getting less people, less traffic in through the home. So then when you have less people viewing that home and you know there's a diamond in the rough, you can probably do a little negotiating.
Yep, definitely. You find that the right property needs minor tweaks, but it's in a good location and a great building.
Yeah, and you know, well, to that point now, let's just say we've gone on this showing now, and Jay, you and I are looking through the home. I'm walking through. I see, okay, 2 bedrooms, 2 washrooms. I'm looking. The MLS will say there's 2 washrooms. I can only find 1. How do you explain that?
You know, many realtors do not put the correct information in these MLS sheets. So I'll tell everyone, don't take that information for gospel. I've seen many cases where the room sizes are different, dimensions are different than the ones on the paper. The square footage of the suite is totally off than the one mentioned in the paper. The maintenance fee is not correct. The taxes are not correct. So you want to make sure that these are being doubled and triple checked. A good realtor, what they will do, they will make sure that all the information is correct. They'll review it, cross-check it with other similar properties, and at least you will know. Once you accept an offer, you just can't go back a little bit and say, hey, well, I wasn't too sure about that room size. It's 6 inches off.
Exactly.
The first thing the judge will say, did you see it?
Yep, you were there.
You were there, right? Yeah.
You know, further to that, now when people are discussing, you're already at the offer stage or you're reviewing the offer. I've got a funny story, anecdote I'll share. Now, I've heard this story through a friend of mine that did a purchase.
Yes.
Now, they purchased a condo, and it was on the 14th floor of this building, 1406 or whatever it was.
Right.
And all the legal description all said 1406. Everything was at that exact address. Now, we fast forward to when we're selling. I'm actually selling the condo. I realized that all of the paperwork pertaining to the purchase of that condo was incorrect. And you want to know why?
Why?
There was no 13th floor. So these guys, they bought the wrong condo. They owned the guy's upstairs condo.
The 15th floor condo. Oh my God.
So, you know, it's so important to make sure you have a lawyer that will review these details for you.
Definitely. That leads us to one other thing. If once you're doing an offer, it's in the offering stage, you put the realtor will put an offer together for this client. Now, in that offer, we want to see at least, if not financing, let's say you got financing already, we want to see at least inspection and obtaining a status certificate.
Yes.
Now, what is really a status certificate to our listeners out there?
You know, it's a little bit of a complicated document, but such an important one. You're probably going to get on average, 50, 60, 70, 100 pages, depending on how old the building is. but it's going to have everything regarding when the last maintenance was done, cleaning the roof, replacing the windows, patching some cracks inside the parking garage.
Whether there are any lawsuits,
Yeah,
something
exactly.
contractors are suing,
So-
why you want that slip and fall sue?
And-
because if there is a lot of court session in there and people have to pay out money, it means their fees will eventually go
Everything's
up.
gonna exactly. Yeah.
Right? We want to also look at the financial statement of that condominium corporation.
And the reserve fund, you see, these are all very important
Yep.
things. Many of our viewers might not know that when you're actually going through the maintenance fee, you're paying, say, it's $300 or $400 a month. Maybe only half of that is actually going towards your heat and your utilities and all these other things.
Right.
The rest is going to your reserve fund, and that's for a reserve in case something goes wrong.
Right, reserve is there for emergency. If we got to fix your roof, we can take from the reserve. You're building up a reserve. Well, what happened in many cases, the reserve has been depleted. If the reserve has been depleted, guess what? Chances are the maintenance fee
Go
will
up.
start to go up.
We can even get into, we won't touch on it too much, but if it's very bad and money has been mismanaged, we can get into a special assessment.
Right, special assessment is a situation where, let's say there are 100 units, and the work costs $200,000, and every unit holder have to come up with $2,000. I've seen situation where the seller say, "Hey, I'm not paying that," and the next thing,
Slap a lien on it.
slap a lien in them, and cost that $2,000 becomes $6,000.
Jay, I have a question for you. What happens to the price when that special assessment gets slapped on there?
Well, what happened? Think of it as a buyer. If a buyer see a property where there is special assessment, there is higher maintenance fee, the value come down. Give you an example. I'll give you about 3 locations. Jane and Stale, Shoreham.
Right.
In
Shoreham Drive.
1989, I sold in that building a 2-bedroom condo for $134,000. You can buy that now for $60,000. What happened? Price dropped tremendously, but the maintenance went up from $450 to $900 almost. Right? That's where it is. The same thing at Panorama Court,
Yes.
where they were selling for $150,000. Today you get them for $50,000. For John Garland, they were selling for at one time for $250, then dropped to $44.
Yep.
Now they clean it up. Now they're back to about $200.
Wow.
So these things can happen. So let's take a break, and then when we get back from our break, we'll get more into special assessment, reviewing condo, and preparing for closing. Thank you.
You know your purpose, you know your function, because the function dictates the purpose. It's not talking about what color this thing is. Life is about a function. And only when you function do you see purpose. This is where we live, just here. What we think. We miss the human when we just focus on the black on the hand or the white of the palm. But my goal in life is to get people to understand your function. Let them feel their love. Let them know you. Let them know your struggle. So when we talk about community, it's talking about coming together, unity.
Discover the incredible India.
Okay, and welcome back. We are just talking here about what is a status certificate and how you need to get that checked. Now, once you buy the condo, you want to make sure it's subject to doing an inspection
Of course.
and obtaining a status certificate
Yes.
at the seller's expense, not the buyer's expense. Okay, and then what you do, it takes about 7 business days to get that status certificate. Once you receive it, it's good to take it to your lawyer. Again, it's good to get a lawyer that's credible, that knows what they are doing, and they will review it for you. There's no cost to review it, right? So once they review it, they will tell you all the main points. Based on that, you will be in a position to make sure that you are ready to prepare to close that deal.
Definitely. And Jay, just a funny story quickly. Now, I actually sold a condo about two years ago.
Right?
Now, I did that, reviewed the offer. It was an excellent offer, very close to full price. On that offer, we had the status certificate to be paid, and the obtaining of the status certificate to be obtained by the buyer. So when I reviewed that as the seller's agent, I thought to myself, "Oh wow, this is great. It's going to take, $250, $200 off of your expenses, and these guys are really serious about getting the condo."
Right.
So I go back to them now, and they say, "Okay, we accept the offer." Now, 4 days pass, and they said, "Well, hey guys, where's our status certificate?" Now I said, "Well, what do you mean? You guys are the ones that had to purchase the status certificate and obtain it on your own means."
Yes.
And you know what the realtor said? She said they accidentally used a copy and paste clause that was in her list of clauses and didn't read it herself.
Well, that's what that's what tend to happen. That's why you need good realtors, right?
Yeah. So we'll continue here.
Yeah. So now you negotiated a price, price that both parties agree at, a lower price, let's say, for our client. The next thing we got, while we are waiting for the status certificate, we want to make sure all those paperwork are with your mortgage group.
Right.
At least the bank or the mortgage broker or somewhere. At that point, they will review everything. Most of the time, if someone puts less than 20%, it goes through CMHC.
Yes.
CMHC will make sure that the condominium cooperation is also have enough reserve funds, etc.
Definitely. Jay, I've experienced some condos where CMHC will not even lend on, and you know this
Yeah,
yourself.
banks will not lend on some condos. Yeah? And Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation said absolutely no. So, the nice thing is that you have these, let them be your police.
Yeah,
Let them be your police, so at least you are protecting yourself. Once these things are done, the next step is the bank tend to send out an appraiser. I've seen many situations, Amit, where the buyer bought the condo, everything is going right, they prepare to waive, to remove their conditions.
Yes.
And then about 3 weeks before closing, the bank sent someone over and said, "Hi, you bought it for $350, but we only feel it worth $295, so we'll lend you money based on that." And then the buyer is scrambling because they got $55,000 more money. They don't have that. That's literally their down payment twice. Yep.
Yeah, and that's something to a little bit be wary about in a market like now, where home prices are a little bit unattainable for some of our first-time buyers. So condo living, raising your family, starting your family is becoming a reality, a part of
That's true.
first-time home buyer
That's
process.
true.
So when you have all of these guys trying to buy one condo, it tends to increase the price. So you have to be careful if you're into one of those situations where you're overbidding for a condo, which still happens.
Yes,
You have to make sure it's within reason.
Within reason that the bank will approve it, the appraisal value will come in. I always, the one advice I give to my buyer client is, hey, we always as a team pull all the recent solds in the area, and we let our buyer knows, hey, these are the recent solds, so this is what you're buying for. I recommend everyone to also do that if you're using another realtor, is to make sure you ask them for the current sale in that building so you have an idea how much you want to bid.
Yeah, history in that building and even some
Right,
comparables in neighboring buildings.
Right, definitely. So you have an idea, right? Once the offer is accepted, now you got the bank approval, you want to get an inspection done as well, right? An inspector, they don't have much work to do. Inspection for condos are a bit cheaper.
Definitely. Sometimes you get away with them for, $50, $100, because when you think about it, you still are responsible as the unit holder. You are responsible for everything inside of that unit, all the internal workings. If the plumbing is not working properly, or the toilet breaks or something like that, you're responsible to fix the
Everything
appliance.
internally, right? You're responsible for. What's in the wall, you're not responsible. What's covered, you're not responsible. So an inspector will go through to make sure all these things are good for you. Another important point of it. So I bought this condo. There is a parking spot in the basement, and there is a locker. I don't know whether I owned it or whether it's an exclusive use or a common element expense. How would you explain that?
Well, it's a little bit of a tricky subject. So for the parking space, you technically own that space. And one thing that you may not know, or clients may not know, that your maintenance fee actually goes up based on that additional square footage of that parking space that you own.
Right, but the nice thing is that what you wanted, if it's deeded, you can literally sell it or buy it. It's like a separate
you own
property.
it.
You own it, right? If it's exclusive use, you have the exclusive use to it, but you cannot sell it.
Yes.
Right? And on the other hand, if it's common element, what could happen is not exclusive use. I might buy it, and I might be assigned a different parking spot that I saw. So those are some things our people must be wary of. Yes. Now, I bought the condo, closing at the end of January. What should I do? I got my mortgage in place. I informed my landlord 2 months in advance, and the way they look at it, 2 months from the end of the term. If you're even in a month-to-month, your end of the term will be the end of the month. So if you give them notice on the 15th of November, it's to really take effect from the 1st of December, and you can move out without paying anything else at the end of January.
Yep.
Right? That's what that means. So you want to make sure you give that notice. You want to book your elevator.
That's a good one, because many people don't realize condo buildings are only allowing elevators on certain days
and certain time. Right? So the thing is, you're preparing, okay, Friday night I'm collecting my key at 4 o'clock from my lawyer. I got my truck. I'll just start going. You load your truck up, go across there, and the condo corporation said, nope, sorry, you can't move it. So that's why you want to go ahead at least about 4 weeks or a month in advance and book your date. That way you are not out of a property.
And with an extra week of a truck rental.
Right, definitely. You want to make sure that sometimes some condo cooperatives, they have a holding room that they will assign to you. They say, okay, no problem. We are not allowing moving within certain time, but here is a holding room. Store it in there until tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Right.
So you want to make sure that that is being taken care of. Right? I always encourage our buyers to go back and visit what you bought about 2 times before.
Yes, definitely, and we can get into that a little bit more in detail at the next segment there.
Yeah, we can do that, certainly. So now let's sign off for now, and we'll get back later. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.